is Linda from ITTT. Welcome back this week for another live session. I'm super excited to be here. Super excited that you are here. Thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, today we're going to talk about teaching ESL to children, and I'm going to share 7 useful tips for teachers. If you are teaching children, then you might want to watch until the end today. It's going to be really interesting. I myself taught children for quite a long time. I taught children in China from as young as 2 years old to the late stages of childhood, like around 18, university. And also I taught also adults, so I'll be able to compare the two as well. I'm sure that some of you also have experience teaching children or teaching adults or both. So please, if you do, feel free to share your own experience and your feedback today as well with the tips that I'm sharing. If you have any additional tips or other kind of feedback, I would love to hear about it. I always love to have an exchange between my viewers and myself so that we have a fun and engaging session today. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our upcoming sessions. We always go live twice a week. One time me and one time my colleague Lisa. I go live every week around this time on Friday. Sometimes the time changes. And my colleague Lisa, she usually goes live on Tuesdays. And she is a non-native English teacher from Russia. She also taught English in China, also 2 kids, also adults. And now she is back in Russia and she teaches a lot online. So definitely also tune in to her live sessions if you're interested in that. And also if you are a non-native English teacher. Then also please check out our discount for today. If you've seen the live sessions before, you know in this upper right-hand corner, you can scan this QR code at any time throughout the live session and get a 30% discount code. If you don't know how to scan or if you can't scan it, that's no problem. I'm going to share a discount link in the comment section right now, and then you can just click on that link and you can also get a 30% discount. Some of you might already know this. If you've watched before, I just want to mention that because it's very important, and 30% is such a big discount, and we only share them during our live sessions. So very, very special. You'll not find them anywhere else. Okay, if you can see me, if you can hear me, please let me know. Also, where are you right now? Where are you watching from? Where are you watching from? I am in South Korea. I've been here for 6.5 years, and I live about an hour and a half south of Seoul. That's where I am right now. It's 10 a.m. Friday morning here in South Korea. How about you? Where are you right now? What time is it there? What are you up to? Let me know in the comment box. I know that there are some people watching on YouTube and there's some people watching on Facebook. We are live on both platforms. And also, if you're listening to this as a podcast episode, thank you very much for the download. We recently hit 7,000 podcast downloads, which is amazing. We never thought we'd, get that many downloads. So thank you so much. We always turn our live sessions into podcast episodes. If you're interested, check us out on all major podcast platforms like Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, all of those platforms. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you can type in the search bar TEFL and TESOL podcast by ITTT, and it'll show up there, and you can download all the episodes, all previous episodes, all of our live sessions are available there. Okay, so where are you guys from? Let me see the comments. All right, we have Muhammad from Pakistan. It's 5:55 a.m. where you are. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, cool. Then we have Juliana from Illinois, 8 p.m. Okay, great. We have Sarah Nire, 787 from Egypt, 3 a.m. Wow. And Brett, hi Brett, from California, 6 p.m. Awesome. I used to live in California. I don't know if I mentioned that before. I miss it so much. And we have Letarg, 9 a.m. here in PH. Is that the Philippines? Philippines? PH. Maybe I'm wrong. But 9 a.m., so it must be Asia. Okay, awesome. I won't. You won't miss California? Oh, you say that now, but then when you're somewhere else, you're gonna definitely miss it. All right, Philippines. Awesome. Whereabouts in the Philippines? I love the Philippines. Then we have someone from Chiba, Japan, 10 a.m. Yeah, we are in the same time zone, aren't we? That's awesome. Cool. I teach a lot of Japanese students online, so I've gotten quite familiar with different cities in Japan and stuff. It's really interesting. Really hoping for the borders in Japan to open up again soon, or like between Korea and Japan. I really want to go back to Japan because it's like our neighbor, it's very close, but yet so far. Okay, Brett was like, not when I went to Rome. Yeah, Rome is pretty great. I have to agree. All right, cool. Very mixed group. We're like in all parts of the world. It's great. Love it. Nice. Okay. Yeah. All right, let me turn this off. Okay. Then let's jump into today's topic. Also, let me know, is anyone teaching children? Are you teaching children or adults or both or not yet? No experience in teaching children. Also, let me know in the comments. Are you teaching? I should have prepared a banner for that. Okay, let me do one now. Are you currently teaching children? How about that? Let me add this banner here. All right. Are you currently teaching children, or do you have experience teaching children? Also, please let me know in the comments real quick. And like I said, anytime throughout the live session, feel free to leave comments in the comment box. Feel free to ask any questions. And feel free to also share your own experience teaching kids or teaching adults, wherever it fits, when I share the 7 useful tips that I have. Or maybe you have more tips. That would be also great. We can expand our list today. So, are you currently teaching children, or do you have experience in teaching children? Please let me know in the comments. If you don't, you can just say no, no experience. And if you do have experience, say yes. That'd be great. So, yes or no. It's a yes or no question. All right, we have Muhammad, who has experience, upper elementary Montessori teacher. Oh, cool. Awesome. Also, Muhammad Tegar has experience teaching children. Great. Okay, maybe you can also share your experience then, and maybe you can also take away some new tips. I have an English course for children at my home. Oh, cool. You teach at your home. That's awesome. Okay, Ali, yes. Brett, also kindergarten to 6th. Great. Oh, all right. Now I need to be careful today then that I don't say anything stupid or wrong if you all have experience. Some of you might have more experience than me, so that's great. So please share your thoughts then on the things that I'm saying. And you can also disagree. Feel free to disagree and teach me something new, potentially. Great. Okay. Cool. Nice. I love it. Also, at the end, there will be a Q&A part where you can ask other kinds of questions not related to today's topic. But yeah, let's jump in. Also, Leturg says he has experience elementary. Very nice. Okay, cool. Good. Then, as always, let me make myself a little bit smaller. You can still see me, I hope, a little bit smaller. But I want you to see the presentation. Okay, and Juliana also has experience teaching children, but only for art design and humanities. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Teaching is teaching. That's great. Okay, so first up, a little bit about myself. Oh, I'm wearing the same t-shirt again, like in the picture. Love it. Okay. So my name is Linda. I am a travel writer and content creator under the name Linda Goes East. Feel free to check out my own website, lindagoeseast.com. I'd really appreciate it. And also on Instagram at Linda Goes East. Stop by, give me a follow. I would really like that. I'm originally from Germany and the US. Like I always say, my mom is German, my dad is American. And I am based in South Korea. I've been here for about 6.5 years. And before that, I was in China as well. I have a huge passion for Asia. And on my own content, or with my own content on my own website, I try to share that passion with the world, so to speak. And then I'm also a TEFL and TESOL marketing professional. That's why I'm here on ITTT's page for you guys. I work for ITTT as well. ITTT stands for International TEFL and TESOL Training. You can find ITTT at teflcourse.net and also at International TEFL Training on Instagram. And ITTT is a leading TEFL and TESOL course provider worldwide. All right, somebody said please share your social link. Okay, so I'm just going to share, well, I can share both, I guess. Hold on one second. So this is Instagram. If anybody's curious, they want to see what I'm up to, you can check that out. Instagram, Linda Goes East. And then also my own personal website. Feel free to check that out as well. You can read a lot about Asia on there, specifically Korea and China, because I've lived there. But I traveled to a lot of other Asian countries. And also I share content about teaching and TEFL on there as well. So feel free to check that out, lindagoeseast.com. And yeah, somebody said nice picture, beautiful outfit. Thank you. That's sweet. All right. And Asma says, I have no experience teaching. I'm making a career shift, which is why I purchased your 470 hours course package. Teaching children feels a bit scary for me. How hard is it from your own experience? That's a great point. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. So yeah, let's talk about what are young learners first. So what are young learners? It's a very broad term. And yes, so it is scary teaching children. And from my own experience, even now I kind of only teach online at the moment, also because of COVID. And the platform that I teach on is mostly adults, and I really enjoy teaching adults. But I also have 1 or 2 young learners as my students on there, and I notice that I get the most nervous before their classes. So I feel like, I don't know, I experience a lot of pressure when teaching children. So it is scary. And also, I never taught children online before, so that was also my first experience now teaching children online. And it's very difficult to, keep their attention at all times, especially online, because they just look at the screen. So, the 7 tips that I'm going to share are also going to help with that. And they're also going to help you feel a little less scared, I hope, before teaching children. But yeah, teaching children can be daunting, definitely, because also with children, you're not only teaching them English or whatever subject you're teaching them, but you most often also have to teach them how to be a good human being, basically. So there's going to be a lot of crying and fighting if you're teaching in a group and things like that. So that way it's definitely more challenging compared to adults. But on the other hand, it can also be a lot easier in some ways to get their attention, because you can just play a song or play a quick game and they focus very quickly on you. They're excited about even like little things. So that can be very easy to get them excited about things compared to adults. But back to this question. So what are young learners? Like I said, it's a very broad term, right? So what do you think for you guys? Let me know in the comments. What are young learners for you? Like what age range are young learners? For you, what do you think? For you, how do you define young learners? Which age range? Let me know in the comments real quick. And then I'm gonna share with you my definition, how I see it. Because even when you do like online research about this topic, many different resources, they will have different definitions as well. So it is a broad term, and there are a lot of different points of views on that. But for you personally, how do you define young learners? How do you define young learners? Okay, Alaya asks, what is this live covering? We're talking about 7 tips to teach for teaching young learners, for teaching children today. All right, Asma says from 2 to 14, maybe. Maybe, okay. 2 to 14, maybe. What about the other people? Juliana, from 6 years old to 15 years old. Okay. We have 2 to 14. We have 6 to 15. Anybody else? Any other takers? Let's see. What are young learners? How do you define young learners? The age range. What are young learners for you? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. We have 2 answers so far from Asma, who says from 2 to 14, maybe. And from Juliana, who says from 6 years old to 15 years old. I'd like to see one more answer. 3 is a good number. Let's get one more person to answer here before we move on, please. That would be great. Or a couple more. Okay, Laturks is not yet adult. 6 to 10. Okay. 6 to 10 years old? Okay. Someone says 0 to 12 years old. Okay, good. So very different ranges here, as you can see, right? So everybody kind of has their own sense of what are young learners. So let me make myself smaller again. And let me show you how we define young learners. So what are young learners? According to the United Nations, they had a conference and they established in 1989 a child is defined as anyone who has not reached their 18th birthday. And this is used for many institutions, organizations around the world globally. So young learners are anywhere from until 18 years old, right? And this is the table. As you can see, there are also different stages and the correct terms that we can use. So for example, life stage preschooler is 2 to 5 years old. And this is what we call the early years. The early years. Then we have primary school pupils from 6 to 10. They're called primary. So the primary young learners. Then we have secondary, 11 to 14, lower secondary, and kids from 15 to 17 years, they're upper secondary. And then we have the 18 to 25-year-olds who are typically university or vocational students, and these are defined as young adults. And all of these in the blue box here, those are our young learners. So literally from 2 to 18 or 2 to 17 until you reach your 18th birthday, you are considered a young learner or a child. Now, obviously, this is still a very broad range, and from your own experience, whether you teach a 2-year-old or a 15-year-old, obviously the teaching styles will be very different between those two. So that's also from my experience. I had students who were 2 years old, and then I also taught students who were 15. And obviously, you're going to use different teaching styles and different methods. But just so you know, this is what we define as young learners. So from 2 to 18 years old. Very broad. Okay. So then let's look at the 7 useful tips, okay, that I have for you today. The first one is definitely you need to use lots of hands-on activities when teaching children, right? I think we can all agree on that, and maybe you can also share some of your ideas. But basically, you need to involve children in hands-on activities as much as you can. So children, they learn by absorbing ideas and concepts directly, and children need to be actively involved at all times. So what you can do is sing songs, play games, use lots of props and flashcards and toys. And also what's important is to get your students up and out of their chair and moving around a lot. So, and this is a big difference compared to adults. Obviously, adults, they can focus longer. They don't need to be stimulated as much as children. But certainly, when we cover adult classes, we also say that you can definitely play games with adults. Adults also love games because some people think adult classes are just literally just reading textbook. But you can also involve games. But today we're talking about young learners, so I'm not going to mention adults too much. But definitely involving lots of hands-on activities. That is really the key. You can't just do textbook classes for kids. It's not going to be very efficient. They're not going to have a lot of fun. So you really need to incorporate these things. Especially songs and little games here and there. And the more often you do it, the more experience, obviously, you're going to have, and you know what kind of songs you can sing, what kind of little games you can play, how you can adjust your material and your content to fit the games that you know. There's so many games that you can use and adjust to your topic and material. And on this next slide, I just have a couple of ideas for this. So these are just some of the ideas that you can do of really simple but effective activities. So this would be obviously like singing. And you can do even like a lot of things with your hands. You don't even need to prepare a lot of this stuff that takes a lot of time. So it always depends on how much teaching prep you have, and how much material you have that you can use. But there's so many things you can just do with your hand where you don't need any props, literally. I did an activity that worked really well also online for a girl that I teach German, actually, and she's a total beginner. And to practice like the syllables of words, you can do like clapping. So like you can do like every syllable would be a clap, like hello, and you can do songs like that. You can make up your own songs. You can evolve these things, go from clapping to like other sounds or something. So it's really simple. Hands are very effective if you don't have those other materials. But for those other cool activities, a great resource where you can find these things is Pinterest, for example. So Pinterest, these pictures that I have here, I found them all on Pinterest. So you can, literally put in, if you've never used Pinterest before, it's a great tool. It's a social media tool, but it's kind of evolved into a search engine kind of thing, a visual search engine. So you have a search bar, you can put in like, I think here I put in phonics activities or something. You can put in ESL phonics activities and it'll spit out all of these great things, or these sight word activities with the fishing thing. That's really great. Lots of cool stuff that you can do. Some are more, take more time to create as a teacher, or you can also create them with your students, depending on, how long your classes are, how often you teach them, etc., etc. But yeah, just a takeaway from this first point to really get your students hands-on, using hands-on activities. And these can also be props. For example, if you're thinking about teaching fruits and vegetables, you can get like these little plastic fruits and vegetables, or real fruits and vegetables even, so that they can hold it, they can touch it, and they associate the new word with the actual object. I think that's very important. Good. Also, I like this activity, the salt tray. I have not tried this before, and granted, some of these can be a little bit messy. So it also depends on how your students are. Are they well behaved? Do you think they can handle these activities or not? You know, but I think that's really cool. This one for writing the letters. That's a really cool activity, I think. So yeah. Or even I have a jar. I have a picture of that also for later, but like magnetic little letters and stuff like that. Definitely, you can invest in some of the basic props as a teacher, and you can use them over and over again, right? So yeah, good. That was number 1 point. Let's do number two. Number two is avoid talking for long periods of time. Okay, so children need lots of stimulation all the time. We just also covered that. And you get like this energy. Children have a lot of energy. And when you can feel the energy in the room when you're teaching, obviously, and you don't want to let this energy drop at all costs. If it drops, you can definitely pick it up again, but you want to keep the energy going for as long as possible. So what you can do is you definitely want to avoid too much teacher talk time, right? If you took a TEFL course with us before, you know TTT, teacher talk time, student talk time, etc. So minimize your teacher talk time. If you plan activities, explain your activity very quickly, but obviously to the point so that and make sure your students understand. But don't spend too much time explaining and talking about the activity, but go straight to it. And if this planned activity is a flop, also very important. I mean, sometimes I've been there. I prepared this really cool activity and I thought my students are going to love it, but it's a flop. They don't love it. Move on. If you see, hey, it's not working like at all, either maybe classroom management wise, like they're a mess, they don't, it's a mess, move on to another activity. So always keep a few extra activities handy for this purpose. And I'm sure most of you, if you taught children before, this happens all the time where you think you prepared like a super awesome activity, but then they hate it basically and it doesn't work and it's a flop. And then you need to have a backup plan. So always have a backup plan, always have a few extra activities handy for this purpose. And this can be anything from worksheets, coloring sheets, or even just things that like games you can play on the board, like Hangman or other little games. So always kind of have sort of like a maybe like a portfolio like this with little activities that you can then refer back to. That's the worst thing I think that can happen. You have an activity, but you see it doesn't work, and then you're just standing there like, oh my god, what do I do now? What do I do now? So avoid that by always having a few extra activities handy. Yeah. And these are some activities you can do. And also keep it like it's like as you can see, like you can do this is again like singing, or maybe like musical chairs kinds of games, or reading games here, or this is what I was talking about earlier with the alphabet letters. So those are really good. Um, so yeah, so you can adjust. And also with your activities, when you're planning activities, it's really good to choose activities that are very different. So some where you need to get out of the chair and moving, some where you're sitting down, some where you need to talk with your partner, somewhere you're working alone, etc., etc. So having a good mix of different activities is also very important for children. Okay. I hope it makes sense so far. Like I said, you all, or most of you, already have experience teaching children. So if you want to add anything to any of my points, feel free to do so. I would love to, add something to my ideas. Feel free. Or maybe you have a story, something that happened in your class and you would want to share it with everybody. I would also really like that. Feel free to do so. So yeah. Oh, great. Okay, here's a question. Let me go back to that. Asma's asking, are there different activities for teaching children online than teaching them in class? Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of different activities. So a lot of activities that you would normally play in class, sometimes you can't do them online. So you really need to think about how you can adjust them for the online classroom. But actually, good point. My colleague Lisa, she did a live, I think it was on Tuesday, about I think it was the five activities for online lessons, I think it was called. So go back to our playlist. I see you're watching on YouTube, so you can go to our live video playlist and you can watch that from Tuesday, where Lisa talked about 5 activities for online classes. And I also did a live session about 10 uh, useful tools for teaching English online. You can also check that out. I cover really great tools how to make that will help you make your online classroom more interactive. And you can incorporate different games with these tools as well. So go and check that out. But yeah, definitely different. So certain, like with the letters here, this obviously you can't play that online because you can't put the letters, they're actual physical things. You can't do that online, but you can create this same game for online, right? With the tools that I share. Like it's called Miro. It's an online whiteboard basically, and I use that for teaching a lot. And so you can create this kind of game for the online classroom. You could even, like for online with moving out of your chair, you can also create activities like that, right? Where you have, or clapping. I did that with my online students, or getting up and down out of the chair. Still, you can get them moving, certainly. And you can also add lots of visuals when you teach online. So you definitely have to tweak some exercises or some activities, but you can make online lessons just as interactive as real ones, I would say. Good question. Okay, let's move on to number 3, student teacher and student interaction. So what do I mean by that? Children, they learn by interacting with each other and with the teacher. So what you should do is try to talk to each child individually, each class, at least once, hopefully more than once. And also, whenever possible, have the children work in groups and in pairs. So that's also a very good thing to, when you plan out your lessons, make sure that there's time. And let me see the pictures here. So you want to create your lesson plan where you have activities that the students do by themselves alone, like this girl here, maybe like a reading thing, or it can be anything, a worksheet exercise or whatever it is. So some exercises where they do that completely by themselves, some where you have teacher-student interaction, or you can also do this while they work alone, where you walk around class and then you just check in with a student. And then you also want to have activities where they are in a team and they work together in a team, in a group, or also just a pair. So have a good balance of different activities and exercises with these different combinations. That's also really good. And again, that's always stimulation, always something different happening. And that's what children need. Their attention span, as we all know, is very limited, very low, very short. So you want to have as much change as possible. Obviously, not too much, not like bam, bam, bam. And sometimes you get a feel for it when you see, like, okay, now you've done this activity for 5-10 minutes and you see, okay, their energy is slowly dropping. They kind of starting to get bored. You switch it up. And the more you do this, the more you teach, the more experience you have, and then you know. Also, every class, every student is different. So it takes a lot of different fine tuning, but after you teach for a while and you teach the same students for a while, you'll be able to figure this out, what works for this student, what works for this class, what doesn't, how do I have to structure my lesson plan for this particular class or student, and you can customize, basically. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. All right. Then we have number 4. Is it showing up on your screen? Okay, there we go. Review, review, review. And this is maybe also different compared to adults. They also need reviews, but I feel like young learners, they definitely need a lot more reviews. A lot more. It's really drilling, whether it is a grammar pattern or vocabulary. You really need to review, and constantly check for their understanding. So, what you need to remember is that new information for children is absorbed and has meaning when it is related to information students have already learned, right? So you also want to plan your lessons this way, so that you teach one topic and then the next class is somehow linked and related to that. That is going to make a lot more sense for your students. So, for example, if you want to speak with grammar terms, I love grammar. I'm a grammar person, so I sometimes use a lot of grammar examples. But if you, for example, teach the present perfect tense, so I have done my homework. For example, I have been to France. Then the next class, or the next after you review whatever, your next class can be the present perfect progressive tense, so the ing form. I have been doing my homework for 4 hours. So those are connected, those are linked, so it makes sense for them, and they can relate this information to something they've already learned, right? So it makes sense. So this is creating bridges between old and new information. And this is not only for young learners, obviously. This is, you should do this for all students, no matter what their age is. But for young learners, the key here is review, more reviews. So quickly review new concepts at the beginning of each class, So maybe with adults, you wouldn't review that much, but with children, especially beginner, young learners, you need to do a lot of reviews. And so what could this look like? For example, that's what I thought about at the top of my head, how you can review, right? You can review with flashcards, vocabulary words if you use flashcards, or your props, like we talked about the fruits and vegetables. You can review like that. You can also have peer review, so where you have a pair of students and they kind of can cross review each other or cross examine. Then we have the circle, the good old classroom circle at the beginning of class. I did that a lot with my students. And you just review some stuff in a circle. You can ask them, so do you remember what did we talk about yesterday? What was that? You can have like a casual kind of review. Or you can have a more formal review where you have students at the top of at the front of the class, and maybe do like miming and things like that, and they need to guess what they are miming. So the key really is review here with young learners. As much review as possible. And that, I think, is also linked to the next point. Okay, kind of. So the next one is encourage self and peer correction. That's also very important. So self-correction is an important part of learning. Also, not only for young learners, but for young learners, it's especially important that they are encouraged to ask in an open and non-judgmental environment. Especially for young learners, it depends. Sometimes they are very fearless, especially the really young ones. They tend to be fearless, unless some students are very shy. But maybe like teenager age, those young learners, they tend to be more reserved and maybe feel embarrassed speaking English or a different language. So you as a teacher really need to make them feel safe in your classroom and encourage self-correction and peer correction, that it's okay to make mistakes, right? And this can be a challenge depending on where you teach. So children in authoritative cultures, they may need additional reinforcement. So some cultures where especially the role as the teacher is kind of like a very authoritative role, where some students are actually not encouraged to ask, you know, questions or question what the teacher says compared to other cultures. So that is very important. I don't know if I have a picture for that. No. So yeah. Juliana says, yes, I agree with you. Okay. Good. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, the key takeaway here is just have them, feel safe. And you can repeat this very well with young learners because, again, it's like review, review, review. The more often you say it's okay to make mistakes, we learn from our mistakes. It's good to make mistakes. It's also ingrained into their head, and they realize, oh yeah, it is okay to make mistakes. And with peer correction, so what you could do is, if someone, for example, they say something wrong, the wrong grammar, the wrong word, whatever it may be, don't. Oh, and that's also something I wanted to mention. Don't correct them too quickly. So don't offer them the correct answer to their mistakes too quickly, right? And this goes for all the students. So what I mean by that is if someone makes a mistake, don't automatically correct them, but kind of make them self-correct, right? So you would ask if they made a grammar mistake, you can repeat what they said in a questioning tone to get them to realize, that's wrong what I said, so maybe this is the correct answer. So they can self-correct themselves, right? And with peer correction, like if somebody said something wrong, and then you can also repeat this for the whole class. Oh, class, for example, does it snow in summer? If somebody said something wrong, they mixed up some vocabulary. Does it snow in summer? And then the kids would say, no, it doesn't snow in summer. It snows in winter, or something like that. And that is peer correction. As you can see, I taught a lot of children. All of my examples are pretty basic and for children. And I love teaching children. I also love teaching adults, but children are just adorable. So I really enjoyed teaching children. It was great. Yeah, so that is self and peer correction. I hope that made sense. I feel like I started rambling a little bit, but I hope I got the point across. If I didn't, and you didn't really understand what I was saying, please ask. Sometimes I kind of get off track, but I hope it's fine. Good. Then let's take a look at number 6, teach in different contexts. Tip number 6. So use what is learned in different contexts. And here, the takeaway is create a connection between learning and your students' lives. So the more real life contexts you use, the better. Make it real for students by talking about them and their lives. And you can do this with any kind of topic, any kind of example. And this is what I found here. So for example, when you teach something like my family, very easy to connect it to them, right? Talk about, how about your family? Do you have a brother? Do you have a sister? And then they say, yeah, I have a brother, or no, I don't have a sister. I don't have any siblings. So anything relate to them. And that also creates rapport. That makes them feel like you care about them. And that also creates a really safe environment for them, basically. So that would be like my family. Then maybe also something with the weather. When you teach weather, you could talk about the weather right now. How's the weather right now? If you teach in a different country, how's the weather in your country? Especially if teaching online, because my students are in a different country than me most of the time. So I always ask what about where you are? Is it raining today where you are? No, it's very sunny where I am, etc., etc. And this actually, I think, also fits with the review. So this is also good for beginning students. So this is also what we had when I taught kindergarteners here. And also in China, I think we always had a calendar, a big calendar, and every day, the review, we always did, what day is it today? How's the weather today? What month is it? What day of the month? What year is it? How's the weather? Etc. etc. So this is review, but also something linked to their life that's relevant to them, right? Because the more relevant it is to them, the more they remember it because it makes sense to them, right? That's why if you teach them like foreign concepts, it's harder for them to remember or to understand because it doesn't make sense to them. So always try and find a way to relate the topic to their life and their situation. And you can do this pretty much with anything. Also with grammar, you can do this with grammar. You can write examples, have them make examples using their own family, family members, their life, etc., etc. So sometimes as teachers we maybe forget that, but those are like the little things that really make a difference. You get to know your students, you know what they like, what they don't like, what they do in their free time. So whenever you talk about some sports, oh, what sports do you like? Oh, my student really likes basketball. So whenever, maybe you can incorporate that, oh, in some exercise, he is playing basketball today. And then you can ask, oh, Tony, are you playing basketball? Do you play basketball every Sunday? Connected to their life, basically. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. All right. Good. Let's move on to the very last one, which is praise, praise, praise. And I think this is also very different compared to teaching adults. Obviously, you always want to praise all of your students, regardless of how old they are. Also, adults, I always say, oh, good job. This is really good. You did really good today. You were reading great today. But definitely the praising is a lot more extreme when it comes to young learners. So let's have a look. For young learners, learning occurs when students are motivated and feel good about themselves. Also for adults, obviously, not for students in general. Learning occurs when students are motivated and feel good about themselves. So encourage and build students up in a natural way, and establish and stick to a reward system that works for your students, right? And I think this is also something that a lot of people need to get used to, with praising a lot. That was also something I had to get used to a lot when I taught children, that you really need to constantly praise them. Whenever they would do something good, you need to, oh, good job. That was great. Cool. Nice. You did that right. Give me a high five. There's a lot of praising involved with children. But the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Sometimes in the beginning it might seem like, oh, you're overdoing it, but there's no overdoing with praising with young learners, I feel like. And now let's talk about the reward system. I also have some pictures for you of reward systems that I've found and that I've also personally used before. So what is a reward system? So especially for young learners, okay, wasn't loading here for a second. Most of the time, whether you're teaching one-on-one or especially when you're teaching in a class, actually, especially the classes where I taught, we always had a reward system. So where I taught, we had stickers as a reward system, kind of like this. Every student had a sticker board. This one, it had their name here. And that was somewhere in the classroom, all of the sticker boards. And whenever they got an answer right, or they were friendly to their other fellow students, they did something well, they were kind, they would get a sticker. And at the end of the class, at the end of the day, they went to the front and they put all their stickers onto the sticker board. Now, when the whole sticker board is full of stickers, then they would get something. They would get maybe like some candy, they would get a gift or whatever it is. We had at that school, we actually had something called Market Day. So on Market Day, they could then exchange their stickers for like little tickets, and they could go to the market and then buy something like a little snack or some kind of stationery items like pencils and toys and whatnot. So that was the reward system at that school. And you'll find that most of the time, every school has their own reward system that you can then just also use because the students will be familiar with it, and that's just a reward system that that particular school uses. But if you teach alone, if you teach like privately or like your own, you don't work for a school, you can certainly establish your own reward system. And so those are just some other reward systems. You can have like a reward jar, where every time they were good, you can put something in a jar, like here, candy in this case. Then also these coupons. So you can hand out coupons as a reward. So for example, like sit with a buddy pass, so that they can use this coupon and they can sit next to their friend. I don't know. Here's like wear a hat. They are allowed to wear a funny hat in class. Anything really. No shoes pass. Bring a stuffed animal. So things like that. That's a really cute idea, I think. And that's kind of similar here. Brag tags. So this is also kind of a similar thing. You can create tags. They're like one says good friend. I used lovely manners. I'm a mindset master. Rocked reading. So these are like little reward cards or brag tags, and then every kid here has a tag, and you can give that, and then they can wear it, and they're real proud, like I'm a reading master or whatever it is. So those are just some examples of reward systems. Again, I got these ideas from Pinterest, so you can also just go to Pinterest or Google Images and put in young learners reward systems or something, and lots of really great ideas like this will come up, and maybe one of them will work for you. I find that because we use the stickers, young kids, they love stickers. They are obsessed with stickers. So you can never go wrong with stickers, in my experience. And you can also do this for online students. You can also have a virtual sticker board and things like that. I think that's also a really great idea, to get their attention and keep their attention for the rest of the class, and make them do the homework and all those things. So yeah. Good. I think that's the end. Yeah, so if you're also interested in teaching children and you want to learn more about how to effectively teach children, those were just 7 tips that I just collected and wanted to share with you, and also from my own experience. Just want to remind you that at ITTT we offer specialized TEFL courses for young learners, but also for business English and teaching English online. And those start at $175. And then you can also use this 30% off coupon, and then it's even cheaper. So these will really go much more in depth when it comes to teaching those different fields. So I highly recommend checking those out if you want to learn more about teaching young learners, or also business English, or teaching online. Just wanted to mention that, and also the 30% off. Don't miss that. And then I want to ask you, so now, who do you prefer to teach? Do you prefer to teach young adults, young learners, not young adults, young learners or adults? Young learners or adults? Let me know. And why? Why? So who do you prefer to teach? Young learners or adults? And I'm going to read this comment from Laturk. Laturk says, thanks, Linda, for sharing. This is informative. I love the pictures you've chosen. Nice activities as well. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, Juliana says both. Okay, so you like both. But which one, if you had to pick one, if you had to pick just one, which one would you pick? Which one would you pick if you had to pick? Okay, Tatiana says young learners. Okay. Why? Why young learners? Because they're cute. They're easy to get excited. And also, it's so easy to impress children. I mean, and it just feels good. They come in, they hug you. They're like, oh, I love you, Miss Linda. I love you. It just feels good. It's good. It's a good ego boost, I have to say, teaching children. So that is great. Okay. What about some other viewers here? Who do you prefer to teach? Don't be shy. Just leave it in the comments. It's all good. young learners or adults, or both, like Juliana? Actually, for me, it's hard to choose. It's very hard to choose. I would also say both. I don't know. Yeah, Brad says it's awesome watching the light bulbs going off in their little heads. That is so true. That's actually really rewarding, isn't it? It's so rewarding when teaching children. That's true. Tatiana says because they learn fast. Yes, kind of similar to Brett. It's good to see. It's just great to see their progress, isn't it? That's true. I love that too. That was my favorite part, to see how far they've come, right? In their learning progress. That's really great. That is true. Yeah. Ozma says probably young learners. They seem less judgmental than adult ones. That is true, right? That is true. However, they're also brutally honest. So they will tell you to your face if if you look tired, if you look not good today, they just tell you. So that can also be a good reality check. Right? Awesome. Good. Okay. So most of you prefer teaching children. That's interesting. I didn't expect that actually. Awesome. Love it. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for your feedback. So then, before we go into Q&A, just want to say how to find ITTT online. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, also on YouTube, where some of you are watching. You're already there. If you're not subscribed or you didn't like the page on Facebook yet, do so now so that you don't miss any of our upcoming live sessions. Like I said, we go live twice a week. And we also share a lot of other content on our Facebook page, on YouTube, a lot of like teaching materials. There's a lot of Halloween stuff now on our Facebook page, little Halloween activities that you can just save and then use in your classroom. So go ahead and do that. And then I'm opening Q&A. And I just want to mention one more time that we do have the 30% off opportunity at the moment during our live. So you can either go ahead and scan this QR code, or you can go to this link. Looks like this. It ends with Facebook Live. Linda, if you're listening to this as a podcast, this link will be in the podcast description. And it ends in Facebook Live minus Linda. And if you click on this and you fill out the application, you get a 30% discount of any TEFL or TESOL course from ITTT. And yeah, let's jump in. If you have any other questions, either about today's topic or about other TEFL TESOL topics, you have now a few minutes of my time left before I'm signing off. But thank you so much for sticking until the end. I hope you enjoyed today's live session, not a lesson. And yeah, I hope to see you again next week as well. Ozma says, thank you very much for your time and all the info you've given. Much appreciated. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you so much, Ozma. You're very welcome. I appreciate you. Thank you. Great. Okay. And I think I'm going to make myself a little bit bigger again so you can see me. Hi. And yeah, if you have any questions before I leave for today, let me know. Also, if you're watching this as a replay and you have questions, you can still leave it in the comments. We get back to you later as well. You can also contact me directly on Instagram. Like I always say, if you don't want to share or ask your question here in the open, basically, you can just send me a private message. That's totally fine as well. And you can also leave your topic suggestions if you have a topic idea for what I should talk about what I should talk about next week. Also, feel free to let me know. It's not so easy finding new topics every week, I have to say. So, yeah. Juliana says, thank you so much. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for always coming here every week. Juliana, Brett, Le Turk, so many familiar faces. I just Appreciate you so much. Brett says, thank you, Linda. See you next week. Okay, great. Yeah, see you next week. Tatiana says, thank you so much and greetings from Bolivia. Wow. Greetings back to Bolivia. I'd love to go. Awesome. Cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. Well, if there are no questions, then we can stop it right here. But I just want to give everybody the opportunity that if you have a question, you can ask. So I'm just going to wait a few more seconds and see if anybody's typing something. There is a delay between me talking and you then seeing it live. It's, I think, 20 to 30 seconds, which is quite long. So I don't want to sign off too fast. But here we are. My coffee is empty too. It's gone. Or my mug is empty. Coffee's gone. See, now we're reaching a point where I can't talk properly anymore, so I think it's time to go. Good. All right. Well, like I said, if you do have any questions, you can still leave them in the comments. We will get back to you even later. And if you want to ask something to me directly, here at Linda Goes East on Instagram. And yeah, if you're interested in TEFL or TESOL training, check out the 30% discount. It's a great discount. You know it. You know it. You know what it's about. Yeah. Thank you so much, Monette. Thank you as well, Monette. Thank you so much. Okay. Awesome. Then I think I'm going to sign off. And I hope to see you all again next week. Don't know yet what I'm going to talk about, but I'm sure it's going to be something useful and helpful for teachers. And yeah, please tune in. Please like and subscribe and follow and all of that. And I wish you all a very nice weekend. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay safe. And I hope to see you all again next week. And then I'm signing off. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.